and show you how this works. So I've already created the project, and then I'm in the detail page, but now I'm going to jump over to the design side. And as you can see, I've already uploaded the photo that came into me. This is just for a simple garden style multifamily building. And they're looking for 2 EV charging stations at these parking lots to serve these 4 parking stalls. We'd already had a conversation with the utility company and decided that this transformer had plenty of capacity to pull power from it and establish a 200 amp service here and be able to feed these charging stations. So we are going to be able to feed each port with a 40 amp, 240 volt circuit. This was a 122 40 volt transformer. So yeah, let me just show you how this works and take it from there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my work package. I've already got a work package created stations. So stations is where all the stations are going to be at. And all these assemblies are preloaded based on the template you use. So this is going to be a charge point installation. So we love this CPF 50, the 18-foot dual pedestal mount. So we're just going to add that to the project. And then I'm just going to drag that over to the spot where it wants to be at. And I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger to make it look right. So we're just going to drop that assembly right there. And then I'm going to copy it. And now I have 2. And I'm just going to drag that over to there. So as you can see, it's that simple to start to lay out where the stations want to be and how that wants to look. And as you can watch this contract price grow over on that side, you're going to start to see all the labor hours and then the contract price for the customer. So now that we've got that established, I'm going to grab another work package. And then I like to think about the branch circuits next. We got to think about the cloud and plan and the cloud plan and warranty. We got to think about the distribution. We got to think about some general conditions, safety, and tasks. And all this stuff is pre-built inside of the template that I'm using. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a branch circuit template, and I'm going to create that as a work package and find the 3/4 inch. We're going to be running 3/4 inch PVC to each one of those stations. And as I said, we have 2 40 amp circuits running to it. So I'm just going to grab the 3/4 inch PVC with 2 40 amp circuits. And if you remember, when you look inside of this, all of those assemblies have the appropriate labor and materials for the installation there. So you can see I have black, red, blue, and green wire, and I've got plenty of wire to do that. And this comes in 10-foot chunks. So I'm just going to add that to the project, and I'm going to set it over here. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller just so it looks right. I'm going to zoom in on this just a little bit. So we know that each parking stall is 11 feet wide. So this conduit's about 10 feet. So I'm just going to place it there to show that we've got 3/4 inch conduit going into there. And then I'm just going to grab a switch leg and connect it to that station really quick, just to show that this conduit is coming into that station, and we're good to go there. So then I'm going to go ahead and copy that once, and I'm going to put that over to there. And now I've got 20 feet. I'm just going to go ahead and connect that over to there just visually. It doesn't have to be connected, but I like it for a visual look, and it looks nice and clean that way. Then I'm going to grab one more of those and put it over to here. And I'm going to connect that over to there. That way we can just show that that's going behind that. And we've got the branch circuit ran for that charging station. Then I'm going to grab one more of those, and I'm just going to put it right below it. And I'm going to connect that one over to this charging station, just to show that it's going into that charging station. It's really easy. So now I've got all the conduit figured out. I've got my charging stations where they need to be at, and we're good. So now let's think about the distribution panel and think about what we need to do for a distribution panel. So I'm going to add a work package. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab the distribution panel. So that's just going to be, we need to establish a 200 amp service over here. So now I'm going to grab an assembly. We got this meter breaker combination with service entrance, so 200 amp service entrance panel. So you got the meter, you got the 8 space panel over there with all of the conduit and concrete and everything to build that stature and to be able to have a freestanding 200 amp service over here. So I'm just going to set that like that. I did talk to the utility company, and they wanted separation from the transformer and place it over here, and then we're going to put it off of there. So we're just going to hide it back inside of the weeds over there. And then we're going to take each one of these conduits, and we're just going to run that up inside of there. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller just so it looks better, and then I'm going to zoom in on this. But that way we've got 3/4 inch coming in for each one of those charging stations, and I'm going to go ahead and connect that over to this top one. And then I'm going to connect this other one, and I'm going to connect that one over to this bottom one, just so we can show that those are tying into each other. Very simple representation of what we're doing. And again, you can watch this contract price grow as that comes into play. And now from this distribution panel, let's go ahead and run a 200 amp circuit from there over to this transformer. So if we grab that, and we'll come down here, we got a 2-inch PVC conduit with 200 amp service with copper conductors into it. So that's the guy I want to grab. I'm going to place that right into the panel there. And then I'm going to grab another one and run it over to there. So that gives me 20 feet of 2-inch PVC. And I'm just going to grab a switch leg and tie those two together just for visual fun. And then I can also change the color of this just to keep things separated. So real clean, very easy installation to get that 200 amp service done. And remember, we've also got to add some ground rods to this 200 amp service. So we do have some ground rods inside of here. And I'm going to grab a couple of ground rods and we're just going to set those over here. Ground rod there, and we got a ground rod there. And that way we got the two ground rods.